Welcome to day 2 in the Makhadikhari. This is your alarm in the morning. Morning guys, this is the second morning on our cross-country tour of Botswana. We're gonna have a little coffee now and then we are heading off through the Makgadikgadi from the Gumaga gate. We're gonna go up to the Orapa road where we're gonna turn right and then go to Baines Baobabs. And like clockwork, before we were even completely packed up, we already had our first visitors who came to scavenge to see if we might have left something on the table while we were packing up. And that's why it's so crucial to always make sure that you get your campsites in the way that you found them the day before, to make sure the fires are completely extinguished so they don't burn their little paws or their beaks scavenging around in the fire. Shortly after packing up, we made our way down to the hippo pools to see if we could find the lions that were roaring the night before. Here next to the Boteti is a beautiful piece of river where you would always find some wildlife. Even though we had the lions calling through the night, we unfortunately never saw them, but these bones were a clear indicator that we had some predators in the area. Unfortunately, we didn't find them, but what we did see was this leopard-faced vulture, and he also knew that this carcass was an old, dried-up carcass, so he wasn't too keen on scavenging on this cleanly picked carcass. While visiting the Boteti area, we were very fortunate to experience a glimpse of the Maharikharipan Pans zebra migration. It might not be the longest migration that we all know of, but it is the largest migration in southern Africa, where we have over 30,000 zebras partaking in this migration. However, it was in the 1950s and 60s that Botswana had to erect a series of extensive veterinary fences, controlling and combating the outbreak of foot and mouth disease from the national herd. These fences stretched for hundreds of kilometers, effectively partitioning the country, blocking all these migration routes, and no zebras could migrate. It was only recently, in 2004, that these fences were removed. So within 3 years of removing the fences, over 55% of the southeastern Okavango Delta zebra herds started migrating again. Spending most of the morning in and around the Boteti River, we had to make our way through the Makhadikhadi National Park, where we were warned by another camper that the Botswana Defence Force has been using this road as a highway to fight the poachers in the Makhadikhari region. This caused the road to be very loose and sandy. It wasn't too long before we came across a Botswana Defence Force truck that had overheated and was stuck in the road. Fortunately, they managed to start it and move it from the road, but this caused our convoy to slow down, and this broke our momentum, and the Hilux pulling the trailer at the back got stuck in the sand. After a few failed attempts, by just getting the vehicle out with only the sand tracks, we ended up tying the one vehicle to the other one and just towing it out of the area where we didn't have so much sand in the road. And by clearing away the little bulges of sand in front of all the tires, it helped us to pull the Hilux out much easier than we did before. And we're out. We got stuck with that heavy Hilux and the trailer. They're gonna carry on. We'll return for the sand tracks. What a fun one. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 2:30, so this sand is so hot and so loose. We are all nice and sweaty. Like I said, I'm going back to get the sand tracks. So here we got to the sand tracks. Just quickly removing them from the sand. That's why you put these little ropes on, for if they spin into the sand you can find them. So we got that one. We got that one. So we just got the sand tracks out. Here's the road ahead. Let's hope we don't get stuck. But we are in low range. First gear. Releasing the clutch very slowly. Here we go. First gear, first gear, first gear. Second gear. We decided to tow the Hilux for another 5 to 10 kilometers to make sure that we were out of the sandy area of the park. It wasn't long after the 10 kilometers when we reached the northern gate of the Makgadikgadi Pans Park. Here, we had to turn right on the tar road for another 10 kilometers where we reached the Nxai Pans entrance on our left. After a quick registration and paying the park fees for that night, we were back on the gravel roads on our way to the Baines Baobab trees. It was this Nxai Pan road on the way to Baines where we drove about 10 kilometers before we came across this family that was stuck for about 4.5 hours with nobody even passing them. That is the dangers of traveling to Botswana without traveling in a convoy. You might get stuck for hours on end without anybody even passing you. And he then continued all the way with us until we had to turn right, where he carried on straight to Southgate. Even though I suggested according to my GPS that we take the first right turn by that crossing, we ended up taking the second right turn. It was a bad road, but this ended up leading us straight to 3 wild dogs that were resting under the little bush after a very long hot day in this Nxai Pans. And after spending a little bit of time by them, we ended up carrying on straight to Baines, because we didn't have much daylight left and we still had to find campsite number 1, pitch a tent, make some food and get a well-deserved rest after this long day of being stuck and helping people out of the sand. Baines Baobab is such a magical place. It has been a beacon for hundreds of years of people traveling from the south to the north. I would like to use this opportunity to thank you for joining in on our second episode of our Okavango Delta Khwai trip. Please tune in to the next one, where we will be leaving Baines on our way to the northern gate of the Khwai campsite. Please don't forget to like and subscribe below and click on the notification bell so you would be reminded of the next episode, and also share this video with someone and invite them to join us on the next bucket list adventure, where we would be heading straight into the Okavango Delta.